What's up everyone and welcome to another Let's Max video. In this one we're checking out a change that came in the big buff wave that came a few months ago, and that is to our favourite suppression machine, the Supra Vandal. The original Supra, it's a super old weapon now. The favourite weapon of the Corpus Techs. I'm pretty sure we've all been on the end of a sortie tech who has just blown you away with it. Well, the Vandal was one that came from the Ambulus Reborn event originally, then got sold again by our favourite salt trader, Barrow Katia. Now it rocks a base damage of 40, mostly puncture, it's got a dab of slash and a smidgen of impact. It's going to perform really nicely against those heavily armoured targets because of that really heavy puncture damage. From then on, it's pretty much a straight upgrade in every single area over the standard weapon. It's got better crit, 16%, more damage, it's got the 2x multiplier for crit damage, and that is actually enough to make a crit build work really nicely. Doesn't sound like enough, I know, but it actually works out well. The status of 30% is the same as the standard weapon though, and that's enough to make it able to hit 100% status with all 4 dual stat mods, or if you've got a Riven. That means whacking a couple of dual stats on here for status procs works so well. The best thing for me though is some of the better supporting stats. Stuff like the 300 rounds in the magazine means you can just open up like something out of the Predator films and just shred everything that's in front of you. Critting like crazy, proccing status like mad. Add into that a huge boost in accuracy when the weapon changes came in, and that is something that can just spew out status procs, crits, and can accurately hit in the head, allowing for headshot multipliers too. Sounds pretty good so far, doesn't it? You can't have it all perfect though, the Supra Vandal. It's got a couple of downsides, mainly the travel time on the projectiles, which I believe is faster than they used to be, but it does mean you're still going to have to be able to lead the target a bit, and that realistically does drop your damage output overall. Because let's be honest, even if you're a pro aim, you are going to miss some, especially when it does have a bit of a kick to the weapon too, which doesn't help those, keep those shots on target. What else is nice about the Supra series though is it comes with a Syndicate mod too, and that's Entropy Burst. What this does is it builds your meter based on XP earned, and then when that meter fills it will explode, doing an AoE explosion of 1000 magnetic damage over 25 meters, and it restores 25% of your base energy as well as boosting that energy by 25% more for 30 seconds. Now, I know magnetic, well, it's crap, let's be honest. It's the weakest damage type by quite a long way, so don't expect too much from it at anything more than, mid-level. But the energy regen and the energy boost isn't terrible at all, and it can help you get a little bit of boost of energy when you badly need it. So now we've had a bit of a look at the actual weapon itself and the stats of it. What are we going to do with the build? Well, as you can see, there is 6 former on here. Just ignore that really. All you need are these 4 Vs at the top here. The dash is basically only there because I have a Riven, so having to reform things for Rivens, or back from Rivens so I could do a video is a bit of a pain. So basically just ignore that dash. But in terms of the build, we're going to go Serration for damage, Split Chamber for extra multi-shot. As you can see, we're already up to 50% status, which is nice because that was one of the things that got buffed recently. We're then going to go Prime Shred for the fire rate as well as the punch through. If you don't have the Prime though, you could always go with Standard Shred, that works just as well. However, if you have the Primed, I would go for that. We're then going to go with a crit build, which, as you can see, Point Strike brings it up to a 40% critical chance, which is enough to make a crit build work. I think it's something like 34-36% roughly, where a crit build actually does come out ahead. So that is something to bear in mind when looking at these weapons. Then going to put Vital Sense in there, brings our 2x multiplier up to 4.4x crit damage multiplier, which is very, very nice. Entropy Burst, which is going to give us more status chance, and as you can see we're already up to 73.2 before we've even done anything. And then we're going to also get the Entropy effect as well, which I talked a little bit about earlier. Then in terms of our Elemental mods, Elementals are obviously very important. High Voltage, Malignant Force for the corrosive damage, for the Void, for the Infested, and for the Grenier. Basically anything heavily armoured or the Infested. Corrosive status doesn't do anything against the Infested, but the corrosive damage does. And against the armoured enemies, the corrosive status obviously strips that armour very, very nicely. If you want to though, you could switch out, I think it's... Yep, switch High Voltage for Thermite rounds. I can never remember off the top of my head. And then you get gas, which is very, very good against the Corpus, especially with that really high status chance. And the crits. Crit and gas is very, very effective, especially when you have very high status. This is definitely the build I would use against the Corpus, and then the Corrosive against everything else, basically. There are a couple of things you could change. Let's take Entropy Burst out. We're going to put in Vigilante Armaments, which is all the way down here somewhere. There we go. That gives you gives you a little bit less status. It's almost the same. It's kind of negligible and not really noticeable, but it gives you like a boost just about everywhere else. So that's always nice. Gives you a nice corrosive damage boost, as you can see, 241 to 318 because of the extra multi-shot. So that's a very, very decent option. If you want to go pure fire rate though and just put a ton of fire down range, while acceleration is always a good thing. You lose a little bit in the, like it says minus 15% damage in the mod. I can't mouse over it because if you go too far down it gets rid of it, but the extra fire rate more than makes up for that. But personally, I would actually stick with the original build with Entropy Burst, because I like the little bit of extra energy you get. I like the AoE damage. It's not the best damage type, of course, but I really, really do like this build. This is definitely my preferred build. So what do I think of the Supra Vandal? Do I think it's worth it? Do I reckon you should take it and slot those formers in? Yeah, honestly, it's super totally worth it. The feeling of power you get when you spool it up and just unleash all 300 of those rounds, one after the other, it's amazing. At the same time, it's super, super effective. The buff to the accuracy of it just means up close and personal you can unleash all 300 of those rounds into the heads of the enemies in front of you. And because you've got Shred on there, mostly those behind them too. You can see what it does to these heavy gunners here. It shreds them super quickly, super effectively. The big problem with it though is you can get super carried away with it. And it just ends up being rather ammo hungry really, really quickly. Even with the super high ammo reserve that it's got, I am often running a Sentinel with vacuum or a carrier with vacuum and ammo case, which is even funnier because you'll just never have to care about ammo, and it does truly become even more of a minigun. The Supra Vandal has so much going for it. It looks awesome, sounds awesome, and that incredible stream of fire that comes from it, it has presence, it has theatre. The amount of times my friends have been playing and heard me open up with the Supra and commented on the noise, it is so much fun and it's really enjoyable. Combine it with a couple of frames, it's always fun too. I mean, who doesn't like taking a Mirage, activating her clones, just opening up this huge barrage of fire? Or Harrow with his 2 boosting his fire rate and the reload, vastly improving the damage output of the weapon. There is so much to love about it. It is truly one of my favourite weapons. Even better though, it's got a 4 out of 5 Riven disposition too, so if you get a Riven for it and you go for something like, you know, look for damage, multi-shot, crit chance, crit damage, even projectile flight speed works really, really nicely. You can really massively up the damage that you can apply with it. Especially if you get a good minus, like minus damage to infested. Infested die really quickly anyway, so a minus to them isn't too much of a problem. Even minus fire rate isn't too terrible. In fact, that gives you more of a heavy machine gun feel, and it kind of makes it feel really, really different. It's actually kind of enjoyable. The Supra Vandal is one of my go-to fun weapons, because it has everything I want in a single package. It's fun to use, and it's good at the same time, which is a huge plus. Not everyone liked when it came out, mostly because of stuff like the inaccuracy. However, now it's down to player skill whether you can land those shots or not, which also tickles that part of me that feels good about something like that I'm doing, having a positive outcome. It's worth sticking those formers onto me, and I think you're going to have fun. Since it only needs 2 actual former, it comes with 2 Vs to start with. It's a cheap one to get up and to get maxed out, so you're going to know very quickly whether the weapon is for you or not, but I am totally going to recommend giving it a go. So, I hope you enjoyed my look at the Supra Vandal in a slightly new format. Let me know what you think of this style of video, it's in the comments below. Going to have more videos coming soon, especially since it looks like a lot like that Sacrifice quest is not far off now. In fact, the hype site is now live, you can find it in the description below. However, for now though, many thanks for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed my content, and I shall see you in the next video.